Hey everybody, back working on the Mustang. As you can see, things have changed. I've got no more front suspension. So, done a little bit of work. I've got it up on jack stands. Got everything kind of taken off the front end. And I've realized I have a bit of... So this side is kind of okay. It seems to be okay. As you can see down here, I haven't dug into this. It was late last night, so I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's probably a hole in the bottom there. That's a very common spot for these to rust out down here. It's not terrible. That's not terrible. All the drain holes still there, good. That helped. I can see that all that debris, and what a horrible idea. Let's make a pocket where just everything collects and expect it not to rust out. But it did. So what can you do? Here we are. So this side doesn't look too terrible. Everything looks, you know, half decent. As far as, you know, that's concerned. You look on the outside, doesn't look bad at all. Just dirty, a little bit of surface rust. Actually, not a lot of surface rust. Doesn't look too terrible. But then you go over to this side, and this one's a little worse. I can see right through there. I can see into the bottom. That's pretty well rusted out. And it looks a little odd. So when I had the suspension on, there was something off on the upper control arm, which is right down there now. So there's, you can see there's grease fittings in the upper control arm bushings, which is good. I'm gonna throw everything out, but that's for good for them, I guess. But as you can see, originally it started here. So that was the original hole for doing your grease. How do I know? I don't think that was factory either way. But that was, they just carved a hole in there so they could access the grease fittings. Not a horrible idea. Got to keep things greased. But over time, this grease fitting kept migrating this way. And then you can see the other side, they created a giant hole there. And then it started to migrate this way. So it's just kind of, it's got an angle to it. It just goes, burr. So this whole shock tower, you can see this busted off down below. So you can see the hole right through it. And it's just got a little bit of a, you can see how that wing on this side is kicked out. And this one is kind of flush. So that's the issue. So this whole thing is kind of bent. So it's not. This is very common from what I've seen on the old internet for the research I've done. And they make actual replacement. You can buy a patch kit, which just is a piece of sheet metal that goes inside here. Now, as far as straightening that's going to be a little more of a challenge. Now you can buy the whole shock tower. It's $250 US, and that gives you this whole piece and this thing here. But that part isn't bad. The rest of it's not terrible. It's just got a few holes in it. Just the bottom part's rusted out where they all rust out. So that's the part I'm gonna kind of just slowly working my way back from the front to the rear, addressing things as they pop up. So I'm going to try and we'll see if we can get it fixed today. Or at least patched up, at least straightened out. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet to get it straight. It doesn't look like it's tilted backwards or forward. It's just kind of tipped in. So, also, a lot of guys, they build brackets to stiffen these, because that's the common thing on these Mustangs, was that shock tower to snap off, because they're very flexible. Like it's just sheet metal formed into a kind of a shock tower. And that's, of course, your engine mounts right to that, and as it goes down the road, it bounces and it flexes. So the bigger, so if you had a big block in these Mustangs, like a 428 or 429, there was actual plates that welded in back behind here, welded to this, that went around this to stiffen it, so it wouldn't buckle as much. And those were made of, I think, 3/16 from what I've found. And you can buy full kits. People, they sell them. They sell everything for this stuff, but for $200 US, you can buy some bent sheet metal that goes up behind here to keep this, I guess, from flexing. There's a bracket that goes up the side, and for each one, and then there's a brace that you can put in that gets welded in on an angle here. Just a 45 kind of sits in there to keep it from flexing as much as it does. But we got to fix some holes first. And I don't know if, putting a brace down here, 2 inches above the base is going to help anything other than just keep shit from collecting in here. So, but I'll see what I think that's not a horrible idea to stiffen up these things from breaking it again, is to put some bracing and weld it right to the frame. Not a bad idea, which I'll probably do. But I gotta do some measuring and cutting and see if I have some steel. If not, I gotta go get some, and I'll see what I can do about this today. If I can't do anything about this today, and I still have lots to do, there's no lack of projects, but I can get the rear end out from under it. It's just kind of hanging there right now, so that needs to come down. Yeah, so I'll see what I can find. All right, so I got it cleaned up a little bit. Shook the wire wheel and tried to get in there. You can see how rotten it is down low. It's just paper thin. Yeah, you can see how strong it is. Over there, I think over there it's okay. As long as I have something to weld to on the edges, I think I'll be all right. Even this, that's solid. That, obviously, there's a hole there, so there's nothing there. You can see the big crack up along the edge here. So just from, let me show you the other side. You can see that. And over here, it's in beautiful shape. You can see how far back that one actually is. So, that's pretty solid. And that's not super thick metal. If that was rotten at all, that would have went right through there. You can see the little surface rust where it's pitted, but this side seemed to be undercoated. This whole, you can see the undercoating along this fender. You can see this was all undercoated. You can see it down there still. That part looks fine. I got to replace that anyway, but this section here was all undercoated as well, and it's in pristine condition underneath that undercoating. So whoever put that on, fantastic. You can even see it's not like cracked or bent. Like the drain holes are still here. They did torch holes on this side as well to get at them, but you can't see they're not hollowed out like the other side. They just made a hole just so they could access the grease fitting. They didn't have to adjust their hole at a later date because the shock tower was busted. So I don't know why one side is all busted and broken and rotten. There was undercoating inside here as well, so maybe that prevented things from happening, but it looks, at least I have a reference point, so I can, like I have something to measure off of anyway. That way I know how far back I need to go. It doesn't look like the top moved at all, because the top has been braced. You can see that, they call it an export brace. That goes from the firewall out to each shock tower. Kind of stiffens the frame a little bit. There are one-piece units you can get, which I'll probably get just to keep that, just to stiffen it up a little bit. Makes the handle a little better, apparently. never driven one. Drove this about, well, you saw it, 50 feet maybe. Didn't notice the handling on it. But yeah, this needs to kind of just needs a twist. The top looks like it actually came back a little bit based on the twist in that export brace. It looks like it kind of pitched back and then twisted in. So I got to put it back the other way and then kick the bottom out. Get that, you can see that there, that gap to line up a little better. I think that's why that inside piece cracks. There should be a gap, and it's just, you can see it, oh, it cracked on this side too. You can see that crack right there. So yeah, but that can be fixed. I got a welder now. But I need to figure out some measurements, figure out what steel I need, and figure out how I'm going to straighten that out without wrecking everything else. So that needs to happen first, so I'll see what I can do. Hey there, it's a few days later. In case you're wondering why I got a haircut in the middle of a video, it's been 3 or 4 days since I last did a whole lot. I've been working a little bit each night. I decided, I think the last time I recorded, I showed you the setup I had to pull this in with a piece of threaded rod over, but I want to reinforce that side first. So I did a bunch of research online, and they sell bracing kits for these towers because they're prone to cracking, turns out. So either I pay $200, I think it's $200 US for a set. I can just, or I just make my own. So I did that. So is the other side. So what I did was I cleaned everything up. Got all the dirt and stuff out of there. This side looks really solid. I cut down this rail. I made these pieces. So what usually happens if you buy a set, it comes with this little piece right here to go in to kind of reinforce that section. And then, down. And then another piece here, which goes in, locks in there, and it's kind of on a 45 to do a little bracing. I don't know how much that's going to keep it from flexing. It's a piece of 1/8 inch steel. It'll do something. It's mostly, I think, just to keep the crap from collecting in there. But it can't hurt any. The other parts that they sell are it's a 3/16 plate that goes around this side. It welds into these wings here, and then goes around the side here, and it usually has another piece that brings it down to the frame to block it in place. And also they sell a backing plate that goes over this portion and goes up just to stiffen up, I guess, that. I don't know how much stiffening that's going to do. Like, if it moves, you know, after, you should also weld this to the tower itself. It's got, I think, probably 8 spot welds on it. But if you weld these to it, it'll stiffen it up even more. So I think I'm going to weld those braces in, and I'm going to weld these to this, and for now, and I have some 3/16 plate. And I'll do that probably after I get this all straightened out. Because if this doesn't come in to where I need it, or I can't get it to where I need it, you can buy this whole shock tower. It's a few $100s. I don't really want to buy it, but I may have to in the end if I can't fix it. So I'll get this side all done. I'm going to start doing some welding, and we'll see how it goes. I'll get you guys set up so you can watch. Okay, let's see if we can get these plates welded in. I think just do some tacks around that, and then I'll probably have to adjust that other plate once I get this one welded in. It may change, especially around the edges, but we can make that happen. So, here we go. That doesn't look so bad. I don't know if we can get a shot in there. Let me get this out of the way here. I think it turned out okay. See if my other plate fits. I'll have to cool down for a minute before I go messing around. Clean that up. See if this plate fits and get that welded in as well. So I'll be back. Alright, so I do a little grinding on that piece, but it looks like it fits pretty good. I got a little bit of a gap on the left, but I should be able to work with that. If I can find my other glove. Okay, get this show on the road. That looks not too bad for, you know, not a great welder, but I think that'll work. So, see if he can weld those wings onto the tower, then we'll start pulling, I think. Let this cool down first, and we'll get at it. Alright, so I got these welded up, and as you can see there, I'll have to grind those down. I still want to add on those wraparound pieces, just to make sure these don't ever break again. So I got my rod in there, and basically I'm going to try and make sure that side to side these are even. So I'm going to measure from the far hole to far hole to see if we're even and make sure it's just parallel. And I also have in the service manual for these cars comes all the body measurements. So I don't know if you can see that there. I should be, if I measure from that hole down to a hole in the frame for the idle arm steering, I should be 30 3/4 inches just up to here. So I'm going to measure that if I can get this set up properly. See if we can get a little light down there, maybe. See down there? Oh yeah. So all these measurements are in the service manual for the car, in the body section. It gives you holes on the frame where you can check straightness. Basically from that top hole to this should be 30 3/4, which is, that's pretty damn close. I'd say that's 30 3/4. It's tough to do with this tape measure, but yeah, there's 30 3/4 right there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I sucked it in, just tightened it up a little bit. So that tells me that one's alright. So I'm going to go with hole to hole, side to side. So that's like 27 1/8. And that is 27 1/8. No. 27. Let's go in just a little bit. It should be okay. shot. There we go. Perfect. So that's even side to side and square. So that's 30 and yep, 30 and 3/4. And the other way should be 29 and 7/8 ish. I think it said 29. 29. It says 29.86, which is around 7/8. So we'll measure from here to here. Yep, that's about right. 29.78. Surprisingly, it's square. So that's where that needs to stay. Problem is, as soon as I let that off, it falls. It's going to tip forward again and twist. So I'm going to leave it like that and see what I can do. I might just keep it like that until I don't have these pieces cut to reinforce that. I might try to just see if it can stay there somehow. Problem is it's bent, so to let it go. I might hit it with a hammer a bunch and see if it takes the pressure off and see if it'll stay there. Yeah, see, these wings are even now, so that's good. What I did on the other side, I took a hammer and just pounded these flat against here and then welded them on. I'm going to see if I can do that. Problem is if I do that, there's nothing holding the bottom. Oh, I gotta figure this out. So, let me do some thinking. Alright, so after screwing around with a smaller torch, I heat it up. See if it can just kind of take the tension off everything. And see if it'll stay in place. Heat it up, let it cool down, and we'll see what happens. Alright, I got my gas on. That's on, that's on. You can hear all the rust falling every time I hit it with a hammer. Well, we'll wait for that to do its thing and take some measurements after it's nice and cool. Alright, it is nice and cool now. I kind of hit it with a hammer every once in a while it was cooling just to see if there's any tension on it. It looked alright. Actually, doesn't look bad. So yeah, I'll loosen that off and do some measuring. See what happens. So I did tighten a little, while it was cooling, I tightened it a little past where I want it, just because I know it's going to relax a little bit. But see how it looks. So, what do we at here? 27, 3/16, I'd say. And 27 and 1/4. 16th. The 16th off from being exactly even. But I think I'm good with that, to be honest with you. I'll see if that's way better than it was, because I was way off before. So when I weld the rest of the bracing on, I'll just suck it in that extra 1/16 of an inch, and then finish my welds, and that should be good. But I think that's where I'm going to leave off this video. Next video, I'll have all this stuff at least made and probably welded in, and I'll be on to something new. So, yeah, that's all for now. I think that's it. Anyway, yeah. Oh, I put a little, while I was waiting for it to cool, I put a little primer on here, just so I wouldn't get any rusting or anything. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I didn't grind the welds. I can always grind them after. It's not a big deal. But I just kind of want to see. It's nice to kind of see a little finished product. Makes me feel a little better about myself. I may just spray a little black gloss paint on there, just to boost my spirits a bit. Because every time I take something apart on this thing, it seems to be a little more rust, a little more holes, a little more work. Like this was all a surprise. I don't know why I was surprised, but it was when I took it apart. I didn't expect it to be that bad. So, yeah. So far, I'm about, 2 feet in here, and I just have the rest of it to go. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get, well, all these torque boxes out. I got to finish doing my buttoning up that apron. It was kind of rotten, so. Got a little few pieces, stuff like this. I need to figure out what to do, but I can get it on. My plan is still to put it on the rotisserie that I have. That'll be another adventure all on its own. But I gotta get all this floor done and all, because that's not structurally sound as it sits. Same as in the back. I gotta get that all done. Before I can do any of that, so I got to get this all taken care of. So time to get working on the big stuff. It'd be nice to get like a floor pan in here. That'll be such a big change. But tripped on that. I gotta clean up this place too. I keep tripping on stuff. There's a grinder down there. I gotta take those apart. Lots to do. But anyways, I will see you next video. Bye.